we ended up hanging out for like 4 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that you have a notebook and everything.
Yeah, I have to keep myself on
keep
track.
yourself on track.
Yeah, I'm a very chaotic and entertained person, but if I don't keep myself on the wood, like,
yeah,
I will just have too much fun and nothing will get done.
I'm the same way. Like, I have to write everything down.
Yes.
Or else I'm not going to get it done at all. Like, I have to have a paper calendar.
Checklist.
At all times.
Yeah. I have paper calendar, I got a marker board.
I got a running note in my phone that's just called, like, it's pinned at the top and it says to do, and I'm just changing it every day, and, like, it's a little bit of a mess because I kind of word vomit into it.
Oh,
just
your,
ideas
like,
and stuff.
Notes?
Yeah, like in my notes app. So I'll just write things down. I'll come back to it later sometimes and be like, what did this mean? What was I talking about?
Wow. Yeah, so I'll open like a Word document or whatever and just brain dump.
Yeah.
Get it all out of my system.
Yeah.
That helps. Cool. So what were you doing earlier today?
Today I slept in because I went to my friend's house last night and we drank a little bit and watched RuPaul's Drag Race and got pizza.
Fun.
So I was there kind of I'd never watched it before.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I think I've seen it once before.
It was good.
I know what it is.
They're shady. They were saying things and I was like, what the hell?
Really?
Yeah, it was good though, but so I just kind of got up and like did some dishes and had something to eat and got ready and then now I'm here.
Well, wellness morning.
Yeah, it was nice. I need time to reset like that, you know what I mean? What did you do?
When paid rent, I've got like a little morning routine. Drink my coffee and then usually the night before I'll write everything down.
Yeah.
So I'll read this every day.
Nice.
And I read this book called The Daily Laws, and then I'll read some parts of the Bible or whatever, and I pray or whatever. And
nice.
Do little brain games.
Yeah.
And then I read, and then that's my morning routine.
That sounds nice. I don't ever have like a morning routine like that. I have to
do it every morning.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'll just stare at the wall and be entertained for hours. Just zone out.
Yeah.
You know?
I kind of just get up and start going. Like,
yeah.
I think I'd like to have a morning routine, but I'm too scatterbrained for that.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a little while to like
get into
put one together.
Yeah.
You know, something that you want to do or will do every day.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, awesome. Hey everyone, welcome to Nashville Artists. I'm Jordan, and today Emily Chavarie is here.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming over.
Yeah, of course.
So, where are you from?
I'm from Orlando, Florida. So I lived there until I was 18, and then I went to school in Tallahassee, Florida at FSU. And then I've been here since I graduated in 2020.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I moved during the pandemic.
Hey.
Which
at least you're here now.
was fine. Yeah, that was a little bit nuts, but I was ready to do something new, and I didn't want to just sit in Florida for an unknown amount of time. So my best friend and I decided to just pick up and move.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Nashville.
Thanks. I love it here.
Yeah.
It's so green.
Yeah.
The green is more vibrant than Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you see more like grays and tans.
Yeah, the colors are just more muted. Maybe it's the sunshine, I don't know.
In the falls here are amazing.
Oh my God.
The trees, I'm like, oh my God.
I have never experienced seasons the way that I have here. Like, there's actually 4 seasons here.
Mm-hmm.
In Florida, it's just hot, and then, like, more hot, and then some cold fronts every now and again. But it's so fun to have been here when it snowed, and all of my friends from up north are like, why are you so excited? I'm like, I never had this as a child. This is my time to enjoy the snow, play in the snow. And then the leaves are just, gorgeous in the fall. Yeah. And, like, in Florida, when we get cold, they'll fall off and die, but they don't really change color as much. So it's so cool to see them, like, actually change color and have this whole array of color and stay on the tree, and then they fall down.
Right.
But, yeah, that's something that I never experienced as a child.
Yeah. You'll see, like, beautiful, like, little back roads with the trees crossing the road. Yeah. Colors rainbows, and you're, like, driving through this little tunnel.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. I feel like some of the best Some of the best trees I've seen will be like driving on the highway, and you'll just be driving down the highway and you'll see like the brightest orange tree out in the distance, and it's like, we don't have this in Florida. What is this? It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers to the colors.
Cheers to color. I love color. Cheers.
So do you have any siblings?
I do. I am the firstborn of triplets.
Oh, wow.
So I have a brother and a sister. Their names are Nathan and Claire. And my brother lives in Massachusetts, and he just got pinned to be a firefighter. So we're all really proud of him. And then my sister lives in Atlanta, so she's super close, which is awesome. And she works in like specialty insurance.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so we're all pretty different. But that was cool growing up as a triplet, because it's all I know, but
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Were you all in the same classes together a lot growing up?
At the elementary school we went to, they didn't allow siblings who were the same age to be in class together.
Really?
So my mom was able to convince that, like, we went to the same preschool, and then my mom was able to convince, the elementary school we went to was like a science magnet, elementary school, and my name got picked for the lottery, and which meant that my siblings could come with me, and my mom was able to convince them to let us be in the same kindergarten class. And I know that was like a struggle for her, because they really didn't want to allow it. They wanted, siblings of the same age to like have their own space in school or whatever. But I think that was a good thing for us, you know what I mean? So we had kindergarten together, and then I think my sister and I maybe had like 1 or 2 classes together in high school, but that was it. Yeah, so we all kind of did our own thing in school.
I guess usually grades only have 2 classes, right?
I'm trying to remember. I went to like a little bit of a bigger school, so I feel like some of the grades I was in, they had like at least 3 or 4 classes. So, yeah, it was a little bit bigger, so we were able to all have our own teacher and everything.
Wow, that's cool. Did you grow up like, are your parents musical or artistic or anything?
Yeah, both my parents were photographers. So my dad was in like journalism for 35 years and broadcast journalism in Orlando. He worked at like multiple news stations. And my mom, who is the coolest person I know, her first job out of college was at NASA.
Her what?
Her first job out of college was at NASA.
Wow.
And she was a videographer at NASA. I only aspire to be as cool as she is. So she was a videographer at NASA. If you've seen the Challenger explosion, that was my mom's video. There was like, I think from her recollection, there were like 2 NASA cameras on the pad that day. And hers was like the main camera on the pad that day. And then they would route the footage to all the news stations. So my mom like photographed or filmed the Challenger explosion, which is like the biggest thing I think she's ever done. And then she worked in TV and movies and commercials for a while after that, up until and kind of after me and my siblings were born. So she worked on Parenthood, which is like a Ron Howard movie, and then did like a lot of commercials. She worked at Universal Studios when it opened, which is pretty cool. And now she works at a school.
Nice.
And she, works with kids, and she loves kids and stuff. So my parents are super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they got you into photography?
Yeah, because, we always had cameras around my house. And I don't remember when I first picked up a camera, but I feel like it was like always in my hand in some sense. I remember when I was like a little bit older, my mom's friend had like a small backyard wedding, and we went out to the beach where they lived, and she kind of was like, oh, hey, Emily, you like taking photos. Do you want to like take my DSLR and just snap a few pictures during the day? And I was like, okay. And I remember that was the day that I was like, Mom, I need one of these. Like, I have to be doing this. Just something about having, a camera in my hands. I loved it. So, yeah, it was their influence for sure.
Wow.
That got me into photography.
How old were you when you like first got a camera?
My first camera of my own, I think it had to have been high school. I want to say maybe my sophomore year of high school.
But you
first camera of my own.
Use theirs before.
Yeah, I would use my mom's, and I still have like one of my mom's old like Canon film cameras that I use to this day, and I love it. So I shot on hers a lot because that was like those were the first courses I took in like high school where we had a darkroom at my high school, which was pretty cool. So I started out doing that, and then I had a couple of friends who had their own DSLRs, and I would kind of borrow theirs or.
DSLR?
It stands for digital single lens reflex. So the lens is removable from the body, and then there's a shutter mechanism inside of the camera with a mirror that creates the image bouncing off of a sensor inside of the camera. Wow. So there's also film SLRs that work the same. It's just not digital. It's picking up the light onto the film negative, whereas on a digital camera it's just recording the data onto an SD card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So any like cameras that you see with removable lens, other than now there are mirrorless cameras, which I have not delved into, but they're supposed to be like more lightweight. And I don't know what else because I've never used one, but
interesting.
Yeah.
The mirror like weighs a decent bit.
I guess, I don't know. That's an avenue that I haven't explored. But I like renting equipment before I buy, so maybe one of these days I'll rent one and try it out. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, how did you start out, like, other than your mom just being like, you want to snap pictures? Did you do it in school or anything?
Yeah, so I took, I think, 3 photo classes in, like, high school. It was, like, darkroom 1 and darkroom 2, and then... I think it was darkroom and then a digital class. And then I think the third one was like kind of a hybrid class where we could pick. Oh no, the third one was an AP class. So I took AP studio art in high school. And it was kind of more about portfolio building. So we were able to choose what we wanted to do there. And I think I did mostly film there as well. And then I also went to school for photography and screen printing at FSU, yeah.
That's awesome. So other than your parents' influence, why would you say you're drawn to photography?
That's a great question. Well, I'm really interested in like capturing fleeting moments, I guess, and the feeling that's involved with fleeting moments that are lost from us. I guess it's some kind of like preservation. I was saying to you earlier how like I'm really interested in ephemera and like the route that objects take from conception to like being in our hands, where they have been geographically. I just think that's so interesting, like through the passage of time, where an object exists. So yeah, I think to me it's about capturing fleeting moments and a little bit of preservation too. Yeah.
Nice.
Holding on to things that feel good, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Capturing a moment that's so exhilarating in the time, and then to hold on to that, look at it, be like, oh yeah, I can immediately go back to that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, like, I don't do as much like portraiture work as I used to, but I think with like portrait work, I'm really interested in like capturing someone's likeness, and I'm really drawn to just like photos of the face and how like a face can be emotive, and making people feel visible in those moments. That's something that's really important to me too.
Oh, capturing the emotion in the face.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned this earlier, but what were you into as a kid?
Oh, great question. Okay. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor. Like, I wanted to be on Broadway. And I remember going, I had family that lived in New Jersey, and we'd, like, go visit them every summer and take a trip into New York, and we'd always see a show. Or we'd try to if we could. So I, like, saw Wicked on Broadway, and Something Rotten is, like, a really funny, good musical. And I just, like, loved TV and movies and learning about actors and actresses, and I did, like, some acting camps as a kid, which were really fun, kind of like community theater. So I was really into that, and I was also really into, like, making things with my hands. Like, I would make a lot of paper crafts. Like, I loved making cards for people. which was really fun. So I've always liked making and making things with my hands and making things for other people, I think, too. Yeah.
Little gifts.
Yeah, something that can, put a smile on someone's face.
Yeah.
And make them happy, even if just for a little bit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reward center goes off really hard when you're given something and they like it. Yes.
Yeah, I think gift giving might be one of my love languages.
Ooh. Nice.
So other than did you have any certain favorite photographers when you were a little kid? Or growing up?
Ooh, when I was a little kid, I don't know.
Or certain artists or media that you're wow, that's really inspiring.
Yeah, well, okay. I was talking about this with some of my coworkers the other day. The first song that I ever heard that I was like, Mom, who is this? Find out for me. I got a Hello Kitty boombox for Christmas one year, and I got a Kids Bop CD, and on the CD was Skater Boy. And I remember going, Mom, I know that this isn't the real song. You need to find me the real song. And I was really young. I was probably 6 or 7. And so I made her go get Avril Lavigne's first album for me. And I still have that exact CD to this day. I have a bunch of CDs from my childhood, which is fun. I love collecting things. I have a whole DVD collection and a whole CD collection. That was the first thing. We also loved watching movies when I was a kid. Something that we'd put every time it came on TV, we would turn it on, would be School of Rock.
Oh, yeah.
If it was on TV, it was no question. Whoever had the remote was turning it on. And then another one was the movie Sahara. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I don't know what about that
Matthew
movie.
McConaughey.
Yes.
I remember seeing that one in theaters.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that.
That was a fun one. They shoot the cannon at the helicopter.
Yeah. No, that movie's crazy. It's so fun. I usually when I tell people that, they have no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So I love that you know that movie.
That movie's hilarious because the guy in Saving Silverman's in it.
Yeah.
And he's hilarious.
He's so funny.
He's bumbling and yeah.
No, that movie's great. So I think those were my main forms of consumption of media when I was a child. In college, I really looked a lot at this photographer named Michael Schmelling. He has this great photo book about the underground rap scene in Atlanta, and not just about the music, but about the lives of these people, what their lives are like, what their existence. It's primarily about people of color, so what that existence, how that existence intertwines with their production of music, and it's about community, which is super important to me. And then he also has another one that he made for the band Wilco.
Oh, yeah.
And it's called the Wilco book. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's beautiful. And it's another kind of documentation of process. And I think that goes back to my love of ephemera and process. This documentation of their process, the instruments they use, where they record, just how they do things, which I think is so interesting. Because I think process really informs a lot about the person who's doing the making. You know what I mean? And I think that's super interesting.
That is a great point.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that too.
Yeah? Oh, that's cool.
That's why I do this podcast.
Yeah. Totally.
Because I'm always obsessed with learning other artistic or any individual that I find fascinating, whatever. How do they go about their day to day?
Yeah.
How do they go about? Next question I'm about to ask you is, how do you develop your artistic skills? Because it's I want to know everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it fascinating how.
Well, I mean, I guess just practicing as much as I can, practicing making work. I have a day job, so I work at Friendly Arctic, which is a screen printing shop on off of Gallatin, and I love it. I love screen printing. It's something that before college, I didn't know what it was, and I never could have seen myself becoming a screen printer. But I was in a studio art program in school, so they really pushed us to explore mediums that we had never worked with before, which was great. But I remember I took an intro to printmaking class, and I was literally what is printmaking? What is this class? I don't know what I'm doing here. And I walked out of it being I'm going to be a screen printer for the rest of my life. I love it so much. So we make t-shirts and posters, all kinds of things. So I'm there every day making things for people, which feels really good. And I love being able to be like an avenue or like a vessel to make things for other people, which I kind of said already. But so as far as like screen printing, like I have my own little clothing brand called the Kooky Press. So I make my own shirts and I make stickers and things like that. I think that kind of body of work is kind of like more silly and about letting go of like the connotations that maybe like fine art has, letting go of that and just like making things for the sake of liking them. So I like to explore like kind of maybe like darker imagery. Like I love skeletons, so I have like a lot of stuff with skeletons on it, but then I really like cute aesthetics, so it's kind of like a mash between that for me. So that's something that I'm working on all the time. Like I'm always just trying to spend time drawing. I have like a little drawing tablet, so I'll hook it up to my computer and I'll come home from work and I'll have an idea and I'll just spend a couple hours drawing. You know, I'll usually like put on music or put on something on the TV and just kind of trial and error, spend some time drawing. And then as far as photography goes, like I said, like I'm just trying to work as much as I possibly can. So whether that's like shooting a live show somewhere, I shoot shows at Eastside Bowl a lot. I'm like one of their in-house photographers, so that's really fun. It's great to like meet new people that way too. So just spending the time to like practice and make things and try not to be scared of however they're gonna end up and just making them. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Talking about process, I guess, what would you say your process is for doing all that you do? Do you have like routines for?
Well, I don't know. I was talking earlier about how like I don't really have a morning routine or anything, or I don't feel like I'm a routine kind of person. I feel like my process usually is I have an idea, I write it in my to-do note on my phone, and then, you know, when I come home from work, I just try to spend time working on it. And maybe it might be a little bit of a haphazard process, to be honest, but I think that something I learned in art school was that like just trying things or like sketching them out as a concept is so important, like just getting things down on paper kind of. And you know, when that's photography, maybe it's not physically getting it down on paper, but maybe, you know, I'm taking my camera out and I'm like trying something, but like making sketches of things and just trying things and not being afraid of it not ending up how I thought it would, letting the art itself kind of like inform what's happening and listening to myself and being like, okay, I like how this is working, but this is really awesome and I didn't originally intend to do this. I'm going to try that. Yeah, so I think not being afraid of how things are going to turn out and just doing it is like my biggest thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So of all time, who are some of your favorite photographers or artists? That's
a great question. Okay, so definitely Michael Schmelling, who I mentioned earlier. I think he's amazing. Nan Goldin is also a amazing photographer, and she made a lot of work about like sexuality and queerness and kind of like how that had to be like an underground thing for so long. And it's really just like feels like slice of life kind of photographs, which I really enjoy. She's amazing. I'm trying to think of what other photographers I'm looking at right now. Here, give me a minute.
Or like movies or anything that like.
Yeah. Well,
Other than Sahara,
other than Sahara, which obviously informs all of the work that I make. I don't know. I grew up on like the Harry Potter movies, so I'm always kind of thinking about those, to be honest. That doesn't necessarily inform my work, but that's whimsical, like a media. Kind of. Yeah, that's a great word to use, and I think that shows in like the shirts and illustrations I make is like embracing a kind of whimsy or like fantasy or silliness, kind of. Yeah.
A fun little world to go into.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So, maybe Harry Potter, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched those like so much as a kid. And then living in Orlando, we also had Harry Potter world right there. So
wow.
We got to go there, which was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Is that the place where they have like the marketplace and there's a dragon like posted up?
Yep, the dragon that breathes fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
It is intense. They had to put now when it like does the fire, which I don't know how often it is, but it makes like a rumbling noise before because birds would sit in the mouth of the dragon, and obviously they can't have that happening. But can you imagine being a tourist and seeing that?
Like birds flying out on fire?
No, that's so scary and sad.
It's terrible, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be traumatic at Harry Potter World.
Yeah, completely. It would be. I feel lucky that I grew up there, though, and, like, got to go there a lot. And Universal is really cool, and the whole concept of it is, like, the movies, so.
Right, bring it to life.
Yeah, which is exciting for me.
Like, you can live the movie.
Yeah, like the whole premise is, like, you're on a back lot, and it just reminds me of, like, going to visit my mom on, like, commercial sets when I was a kid, which was really cool, and she'd always let us go to craft services and get something to eat on, like, the sets of her commercials. Just cool. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. So, now where do you find inspiration?
I think from my peers, like the people who I interact with day to day. I also think that, like, with my illustration and, like, the Kooky Press stuff, I think that I kind of use my experiences. Like, that's kind of an avenue for me to, like, work through a lot of my experiences. So I love using, like, text on shirts in kind of funny ways. Like, I have this one that I made that looks like a shirt for, like, a baseball team, and it has, like, this, like, whole graphic on it and, like, a year and stuff, and it's based off of a shirt that I thrifted that is, like, a Plant City, which is in Florida, a Plant City Little League shirt, and it says, like, thanks for nothing. So I kind of like to use text to, like, express things in, like, a place that you wouldn't usually see them, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, yeah, it's usually, like, expression of some kind of feeling or something I've experienced. And then, you know, I like working with other people, and I like brainstorming, and I like hearing other people's ideas. And I think that part of what I love about photography is, like, capturing, like I said earlier, like, capturing someone else's likeness and, like, bringing something in their head to life. Or, like, when I'm shooting live shows, I really like to play with color, which most of what I'm doing now is, like, shooting live shows and then, like, my own illustration work. But I love to play with color when I'm editing, like, photos for live shows, and kind of almost I like to capture, you know, the feeling and the vibe of the actual event that was going on, but I also like to push it a little bit and bring kind of that whimsy into it, and maybe, like, use weird colors or make the shadows look a little bit weird. And yeah, so I think that is kind of what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have, like, a favorite show that you shot?
Oh, great question. The first show that I did at Eastside Bowl, when I became their in-house photographer, was Joyce Manor, Citizen, and I can't remember who else was on that bill, but that show was really fun, and I loved the pictures from it. I also shot state champs there a couple, I guess, months ago, and I loved, like, the crowd surfing shots that I got from that show. And that kind of goes back to just, I love capturing, like, people in their element, and doing things that were exciting. So probably those two for right now. I did also in college get to photograph Allie and AJ, which was really cool. So they, like, came to the venue that I worked at in college, so I got to shoot the performance, and that was really fun.
Nice.
Because they were really cool. Yeah.
What about, do you have, like, a favorite photography session or favorite photograph that you took?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think usually my favorite kinds of sessions are honestly, like, ones I shoot with my friends. Like, one that comes to mind is I did, like, a little, like, promo photo session with my friend Bennett.io is their artist name, Bennett.io. They make really amazing music, and we just kind of, like, went into their backyard, and I shot, like, both film and digital. And I with like portrait sessions that I do, I'm really interested in like using foliage and nature. Like I love the idea of a human being surrounded by greenery. And so we kind of just, like I said, went into their backyard and like used their backyard as a landscape. And it's cool because like when you're looking at the photo, you don't ever really know where it is. And I think it's cool that it looks like it could be in the middle of nowhere, but it was just in their backyard. And that was just a really fun session where we were kind of like, you know, throwing out ideas at each other, really like working together collaboratively. That was really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. What would you say your strengths and weaknesses as an artist are?
Ooh, that's a great question. Okay. I feel like a strength of mine is people tell me that I make them feel comfortable, which means so much to me that people feel that way. And that's important to me because, like I said, I like things to be a collaborative process. Weaknesses, I think I get in my head too much sometimes, which is very easy to do as an artist, and that's kind of why I think I harped a lot on the not being afraid that something's not going to come out the way that you initially intended. Because it doesn't have to be some scary thing. Like I said, I think I, in the past, kind of got in my head a little bit too much about that, and that's what I'm kind of doing to counteract that and try to grow as an artist, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been here for about 2 years.
Yeah.
What initially brought you here?
Yeah, I lived in Florida all my life, and I love Florida. I think it's awesome, but I just wanted something new. I had been here, I think, twice to see concerts, and my best friend and I both knew we wanted to move out of Florida, and we had this moment the first time we were here. We were like, this place is cool. I like this place a lot. Everyone's so nice. There's so much happening. I felt kind of drawn here, I guess. And so, like, I moved here with no house and no job. Immediately found a house. Like 2 weeks later, I started to work at Michael's. Worked there for a little bit. Yeah, I just wanted to make it happen, and it was kind of a jumping off the ledge moment for me. You know what I mean? Of like, all right, I could stay in Florida and I don't know what I'm going to do. Or I could go somewhere else new and I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So why not, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, worked at Michael's. Just got a little feel for the city.
Yeah, Michael's was interesting. Because I worked at the one on Thompson Lane. So it was like right next to the hospital. Or like the hospital's like in the building, like in the old mall. Which I love that there's a hospital in an old mall. That's so weird. But so it was like in the middle of COVID, which was kind of difficult to deal with. People would come in from the hospital and they'd have their visitor tags on, and they'd be like in the store. And I would just kind of like hide behind the register. And luckily we had like, you know, the plastic shields and everyone wore masks and everything, but it was kind of a mind trip for a little bit. Like, why am I here right now?
Coming out of the hospital, going straight into the retail.
You need yarn right now? I guess. Okay.
Don't touch everything.
Yeah, no, for real. We used to sanitize the freaking keypads all the time, which is, I guess, a good thing, because I don't know how much it helped, but I hope it did.
So what is something you've learned living here?
Oh, great question. I think not to take myself too seriously, which I kind of also spoke about before, but I think there's a lot of people here, and that can maybe, a lot of people that want to do music and want to do art, and that can be maybe a little bit intimidating, but, you know, we all have our own voice, and something that I learned was like, oh, people come to me and they want to work with me because I'm me, and that's a cool thing. So I think I've learned to embrace that a little bit, and, you know, I was telling you earlier, I listened to Christina's episode, and she was kind of talking about how, like, you look at something and you see that, oh, well, that just looks like I made it. And it's like, yeah, people do want to come, people see that and it looks like you made it and they like it. And it's like, oh, cool, okay. So I think that's something that I've embraced in the last 2 years here. And kind of like I said, like, not being afraid to just make work and make whatever and just try things. And that is something that's exciting and cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Just continue to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's in the process.
Yeah, it's process.
Yeah, the life is in the process.
Yeah, it is.
Because when it's done, then if you lived on that, then I guess you died then and there. But what you do is just start another one.
Exactly.
Just keep putting another one in front of you.
Exactly.
It's like, oh man, I released that. Put another one.
But also, not everything has to be a masterpiece.
Right.
And I think that's something really important to know. And people don't have to see everything you do. You don't have to put everything you do out into the world. Some things are maybe just for you or maybe for your close circle of friends, and embracing that too, and like releasing things to the world that feel like they were meant for people to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, releasing it, letting it go, and then not worrying about,
yeah,
how it's perceived or not perceived, because as soon as that one's done, you've got another one coming.
Exactly. But that's also exciting, because I think it's exciting to have ideas that you want to explore.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than artist block.
Yeah, that's true.
That can feel pretty annoying sometimes, but...
It can be a little discouraging.
Yeah, for real. And it's easy when you're in those moments to be like, well, I'm never going to make anything again. It's like, that's not true.
Right.
Maybe just for now. And I think breaks are an important part of the creative process. So if you're feeling that way, yeah, maybe sometimes you find some ways to break through it. Maybe you journal about your work, or you have discussions with people about your work, or whatever it may be. But also sometimes it's okay to just take a break and let yourself breathe, especially if you're working on something that, maybe feels a little exhaustive or was very emotional for you. It's like a break is definitely important.
Yeah.
And let your mind rest, let your mind breathe. And then also enjoy the work that you made, because you should be able to.
Yeah.
It's not just for the world, it's for you too. You know what I mean?
Right. I think if it satisfies your needs first, then you can release it to the world.
Yeah.
And be okay with the outcome then.
Yes, 100%, I agree.
But if the world likes it and you don't, it's like, you're like, well, they like it, but I don't really know.
Yeah, that hurts almost.
It's like when you succeed and you're not happy.
Yeah. It's like, wait, what did I do? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, this isn't really me, and they like it, so I guess I'm living in the shadow of my own success.
And then it's like, well, now I need to make something else now.
Exactly.
Right now, to get rid of that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what is some advice you would give to someone who's going to move here and do art?
Great question. I think don't be afraid to meet people and just talk to people and get to know who they are, get to know what they make, and be confident when you're speaking about yourself as well. Because some people are in it for themselves, but a lot of people care about others, and you got to give other people a chance sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that moving here, I immediately felt like there was like this whole community that I was not a part of, which is fine. But I think I kind of was like, okay, I have to let go of that. Like, I'm just going to talk to people, meet people, and then, my own thing kind of formed. And it's like, if you're just worrying about the outcome, then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. You'll be at the mercy of everyone's opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. When first getting here, it's so easy to be intimidated because everyone's got their own groups, their friends, their process, so you're like, how do I break it? And like, how do I make myself known or whatever?
Yeah. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
That's how.
It's like a whole stage.
Yeah.
That everyone has to go through to get here.
For real. Yeah. And I think that's normal, almost like moving to a new place, because I remember when I moved to Tallahassee for college, I was like, everyone has everything figured out already. And it's like, okay, well, they didn't just get here. They've either lived here because they grew up here, or they've been here for a couple of years, and it takes time to settle into a new place.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You're not just going to show up somewhere and be like, okay, everything's awesome.
Right.
Everything's perfect.
And even if it was that way, it'd probably get old pretty fast.
Oh, yeah, completely. Yeah.
If you thought you knew everyone and had everything figured out, then I guess that's not really a place you want to grow or would grow.
Yeah, 100%. No, you're right.
So it's like coming here, I kind of liked it that it was scary,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm growing.
Yeah. Well, and my mom always said, like, if you're nervous or you're scared, it just means you care.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. And hey, it feels good to care, I think.
It does.
Yeah. Because, I care about other people and I care about other people's happiness. I think that's where it stems from for me, is like making the world in general a happier, better place.
Yeah.
Is like super important to me.
Apathy is not artistic.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Not caring about something doesn't make you cool.
No. It's boring.
It is.
It's boring and I think it's lame, I'll say it.
Right.
No. I will always like unapologetically care about the things that are important to me.
Yeah.
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 100%.
It's a mark of maturity too, as an artist too, to like, I like this.
Yeah.
If no one else likes it, I still like it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
What is your biggest personal growth from last year to this year?
You're asking me big questions. Okay. Say it one more time.
What is your biggest personal growth from last year to this year?
Personal growth. Well, I'd have to say, like, it's February now, I guess, so in the last month or so I have done like a lot of reflection on the last year. And I think I've been proud of myself I like to do a lot of freelance work, and I think when I first wanted to start doing freelance work, I didn't know where to start. And so now looking back where I have like a steady stream of freelance work that I'm doing, I'm really proud of the fact that I've been able to build that for me, because that's my goal eventually, to be like a fully freelance artist and, shoot shows, and I want to go on tour, and I love designing merch for people. I just did like a shirt and a poster and a patch for the Sewing Club. They just left on tour with Arlie. They're super awesome and really nice. So I think I feel proud of myself that I've been able to like grow to a point that I'm like actually doing the things that I want to be doing with my art and with my work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, and especially like getting the position at Eastside Bowl felt really good to me too, because I had a photo residency in college. So I had that for a couple years, and then I moved here, and during the pandemic, I wasn't doing any of that. There were no live shows happening, obviously. So to look back at like when I moved here and there were no live shows happening, and I would draw on my own time and stuff, to now where I'm like, okay, I'm like working with the venue, like I'm making things for people. That feels really good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got different avenues.
Yeah. It feels good to have different avenues of expression, I think.
Yeah.
And not just like put all my eggs in one basket.
Or we're dynamic beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
When people are like identify with one thing, it's like that's just a part of you.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite like sayings, I don't know who said it or where I heard it, to be honest, but it's genre is but a limiting factor.
Genre is but a limiting factor.
Like, basically, like...
That's all it is.
If you're just focused on genre, or if you're just focused on being one thing or doing one thing, you're only limiting yourself.
Right.
And I think it's important to kind of step outside yourself sometimes and be like, all right, am I doing this thing because it's what I want to do, or is it because it's what I'm used to doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
I always try to identify when I say what I do. I don't say I'm a drummer or I'm a podcaster. I say I play drums. I do podcasts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just a facet.
Yeah.
But some people are like, I'm a banker. And that's it.
Listen, more power to those people.
That's true.
Because I could not survive being a banker.
Neither could I. Just like, thank you, there's lawyers and doctors.
Yeah.
Because I would not be able to do that either.
Oh, no. I'm too fragile.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to see.
Sounds really hard.
I don't want to see that.
No, that sounds really hard.
Cool. So, what do you like to watch on YouTube or?
Oh, I usually don't watch things on YouTube, to be honest.
What do you?
Okay, wait. Let me take that back. My favorite YouTube channel. It's called Baumgartner Restorations, and it's this guy who restores old paintings, and so he'll upload videos that are like an hour long, and it's all just like cut down from like his process of restoring an old painting. So sometimes they'll have like rips or tears in them, and he it shows you his whole process, and he speaks about like what he uses and his technique. So like he'll repair those things. He'll even like touch up the paint if there's paint that's chipped. He'll even like restore the frames. So he'll like take the frames completely apart, clean them, and like put them back together if they're able to, or like put a new frame. I love that channel. It is so fun to watch.
It sounds relaxing.
It is so relaxing. Like I'll just put it on and like fall asleep sometimes, like before bed.
I'm just gonna add it right here.
Yeah. No, it's so nice too. Yeah. And like I love watching him like mix the paint colors together, because he'll use like the tiniest brush, because normally it's like, you know, only a little tiny spot. And just watching him be so precise mixing those colors together and using the tiniest brush, it is like the most satisfying thing ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just like a one hair brush.
Yeah, it's I love it. I can't remember, I think I found it on TikTok or something. Like I saw a clip of it and then I went and looked it up, and I was like, at one point I had watched like every single video on his channel, because it's so relaxing. And I love the process, and I love, especially like I'm not a painter.
Yeah. I
don't know how to paint. And so like looking at a form of art that I don't do is also very relaxing to me.
Yeah. It's inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, wow, I could use elements of that in what I do.
Yeah. For real.
So what is your main way of looking at media? I guess TikTok or...
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on TikTok, to be honest. But I love Instagram, too. Okay. And I follow, like, so many photographers on Instagram. So I love looking at people's work on there. And I think it's cool. Like, a lot of people, you know, play with the slide carousels. You know how, like, you know, you can put, like, multiple posts in a picture or whatever. I love how people play with, like, how the different frames of the carousels, like, interact with each other. And that's something that I kind of started to do from, like, seeing other people do it on Instagram, like, as inspiration. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add that I might not have asked you about?
I think my parting words are that just community is important to me. And it feels good to be in a place where community is important to other people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes each of us to make all of us.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay, cool. Here's the last question.
Okay.
What is something absurd you ever do?
Oh my god. Okay. This is when I was a kid.
Okay.
This is when I was a kid. I don't do this anymore. I want to harp on that. When I was a kid, I loved to put ketchup on my green beans.
Oh.
I don't know why. But it was my favorite thing. And I don't remember when I stopped doing it, but...
Ketchup on the green beans.
Yeah. I tried it a couple years ago.
Just like...
It didn't do anything for me. Yeah. But when I was a kid, I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
What's something absurd that you do?
Vacuuming.
You love vacuuming?
Yeah, I mean, for money, I detail cars.
Oh, heck yeah.
So I have a detailing
I might need you to detail my car.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll give you one of my cars.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, that's something I love, vacuuming. Like yesterday, I detailed a car and had my music in, listening to podcasts, or listening to audiobooks, and just using little tools to vacuum and clean.
It's satisfying.
It is.
Some of my favorite days are like, you know, taking a day of the weekend and like just, you know, listening to music or listening to a podcast all day and like cleaning my entire house.
Yeah.
And it feels so good when you're done.
It's therapy.
It is. I said like during the episode that like I can be kind of chaotic. So like if my room is a mess or like if my desk or my workspace is a mess, I have to clean it before I do anything. Like I absolutely have to. But that's like a very therapeutic thing for me to do. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Having everything in order.
Yeah.
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming over and doing this.
Thank you for having me. This was so exciting.
Awesome.
Okay. Yay!